It was February 14th. The house was quiet except for Chloe's sobs echoing through the lavish halls. She sat curled on the velvet sofa, clutching a half-empty box of chocolates, tears streaking her makeup. Margaret hovered nearby, her voice syrupy with false consolation. There, darling. It's just one lonely night. You'll find someone. Eventually. Lily, sitting quietly in the corner, felt the familiar ache in her chest. She had learned long ago to make herself invisible. Then, a simple envelope slid through the mail slot, landing softly at her feet. She bent down, her fingers trembling, and opened it. Inside was a small, delicately handwritten note. Thinking of the girl with the kind heart. Don't give up. It was signed with a single mysterious initial. A. Margaret's eyes fell on the note. Her lips curled, not in delight, but in a twisted snarl. While my daughter weeps, you receive love letters. In my house? She hissed, her voice slicing the air. Something inside her snapped. Without warning, she stormed into Lily's room, yanking open drawers and tossing belongings into the cold winter light. Papers, letters, anything that hinted at freedom or hope flames were their destiny now. You want love? You want freedom? Margaret screamed, flinging the inheritance documents into the roaring backyard incinerator. There goes your money. Before Lily could even react, her high school certificate and identification was snatched from her backpack and hurled into the fire. There goes your future. No certificate, no job, no life. Margaret's face was a mask of rage and envy as she shoved Lily toward the front gate. Her arms were iron, her fury unstoppable. Lily stumbled, her bag spilling clothes across the frost-covered pavement. With one final shove, the gate slammed shut behind her. Happy Valentine's Day. Now go find your love on the streets. Lily stood there, drenched in rain, shivering, stripped of everything she had. Darkness pressed in around her. The world she knew, the house, the family, the life she had dreamed of was gone. And yet, in the corner of her vision, a single glimmer of light appeared. A distant sound of an engine, headlights piercing the wet darkness, and then, that's where we leave Lily tonight. Alone, exposed, and teetering on the edge of despair. But there's someone who has seen her. Someone who will not let her fade. If you want to see what happens next, how Lily rises from the ashes, and who this mysterious A really is, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and leave a comment letting us know your theories. You won't believe the storm that's coming next. A sunlit garden sways gently in the breeze, petals drifting lazily through the air, as if time itself has slowed to watch. A beautiful woman stands among the flowers, her dress brushing against green leaves, her face glowing with a tenderness the world has not yet learned how to destroy. In her arms is a baby girl, small and quiet, wrapped in white cloth, her fingers curled instinctively around her mother's thumb, as though she already knows. This is the safest place she will ever be. The woman lowers her forehead to the child's, her voice barely more than a breath, but heavy with certainty. You are made of love, my Lily, she whispers, as if it is not a compliment but a prophecy, as if she is placing armor around the baby's fragile soul. The baby gurgles softly, unaware that this moment will become a lifetime. The garden glows brighter, almost painfully so, and then the light flickers. The colors drain. The image trembles. Static creeps in at the edges. The flowers blur into white noise. A sharp, sterile beeping cuts through the warmth, steady and unforgiving, until the garden disappears completely. I was told my mother held me once. Just once. That's what people say when they don't know how to explain absence. Once, as if it were enough. Once, as if a single moment could last a lifetime. They said she whispered to me. They said her voice was calm, like she wasn't afraid, like she wasn't leaving. They said she told me I was made of love. I think she took all of it with her when she left. Maybe she had to. Maybe love was the only thing strong enough to carry her out of this world. And there was none left behind for me. Or maybe it stayed, quiet and buried, waiting for a reason to breathe again. I don't remember her face. I don't remember her voice. I remember the silence that came after. I remember how the world felt colder without knowing why. The present. The light is harsh now, fluorescent and unforgiving. A large kitchen stretches endlessly, every surface cluttered, every counter sticky with yesterday's neglect. Pots rattle in the sink, plates tower dangerously, and the smell of old food clings to the air like a punishment. Lily, now 22, stands at the center of it all, sleeves rolled up, hands submerged in soapy water that has long since gone cold. Her movements are automatic, practiced, the kind that come from years of doing the same thing without being thanked. Scrub, rinse, stack, repeat. The rhythm is almost comforting, because it asks nothing from her except obedience. She watches a drop of water slide down her wrist and fall back into the sink. She wonders briefly what it would feel like to drop somewhere softer. No one speaks to her here unless it's to correct her. No one looks at her unless something is wrong. The clock ticks loudly on the wall, each second stretching longer than the last, as if time itself is bored of watching her exist. This is her life now, not the garden, not the warmth, not the whispered promises. Just this kitchen, this noise, this quiet understanding that love is something other people receive while she cleans up the mess it leaves behind. She dries her hands on a thin towel and catches her reflection in the microwave door. Her eyes linger there for a moment longer than necessary. They are older than 22. They have seen too much absence, too much waiting. Somewhere deep inside, a voice she doesn't recognize anymore asks if she was ever really made of love, or if that was just a story people tell children, so they won't notice how cruel the world can be. The sink gurgles. The clock keeps ticking. Lily picks up the next plate and keeps cleaning, because wondering hurts more than working, and hope, like that garden, feels like something that belonged to another lifetime. The front door creaks open long after sunset, and Lily knows it's him before she even turns around. David always comes home quietly, as if apologizing to the house for existing. His shoes are worn, his shoulders slumped beneath the weight of another endless day, his tie loosened just enough to let him breathe again. He pauses when he sees Lily in the hallway, her hands red from cleaning, her posture stiff with exhaustion. For a moment, the noise of the house fades, and it is just the two of them, standing in a fragile pocket of peace. "Hey, my girl," he says softly, forcing a smile that doesn't quite reach his tired eyes. Lily smiles back, small and careful, the way you do when happiness feels like it might break if you move too fast. He glances over his shoulder, making sure no one is watching, then reaches into his coat pocket. "I've got something for you," he murmurs, like it's a secret the world must not overhear. He presses a tiny, wrapped box into her palm. Lily's fingers tremble as she opens it. Inside rests a simple silver locket, worn smooth by time. She clicks it open and her breath catches. Her mother's face looks back at her, young and radiant, frozen in a smile that feels almost unreal. Lily's eyes fill instantly. "Dad, I found it tucked away in an old drawer," David says, his voice thick. "Your mother used to wear it every day. I thought you should have it." He hesitates, then sighs deeply. "I'm sorry about Margaret. About Chloe. I know they're hard on you. I try to stop it when I can." He looks away, shame flickering across his face. "I just need you to know. You are loved. Even if it doesn't feel like it here." Lily closes the locket and clutches it to her chest. "You don't have to be sorry," she whispers. "I can handle it." "I know you can," he replies, crouching to meet her eyes. But you shouldn't have to. For a moment, he rests his forehead against hers, a silent promise that as long as he is here, she will not face the cruelty alone. He is her shield, thin and fragile, but fiercely determined. The promise does not last. The hallway light flickers days later, casting uneven shadows across the walls. Margaret stands at the base of a ladder, arms crossed, impatience etched into every sharp line of her face. "David, hurry up," she snaps. "We're already late." Chloe huffs beside her, checking her reflection on her phone. "Honestly, Dad, how hard is it to change a light?" David wipes his hands on his trousers, climbing carefully, his movements slow with fatigue. "Just a second," he says, trying to keep his voice calm. "I need to be careful." "We don't have time for careful," Margaret barks. "If you fall behind, don't blame us." The shouting echoes, overlapping, relentless. David glances down, distracted, his foot missing the rung by just an inch. The ladder shifts. There is a sharp gasp, a sickening thud, and then silence so heavy it feels unreal. The funeral day is grey and bitterly cold. Lily stands beside the coffin, her hands numb, her heart hollowed out beyond pain. Margaret wears black from head to toe, perfectly pressed, her expression composed, her eyes dry. Chloe stares off into the distance, bored, restless, already elsewhere. As the final clump of dirt hits the coffin, the sound echoes like a closing door. Lily sways, barely upright, clutching the locket hidden beneath her dress. Margaret leans in close, her breath cold against Lily's ear. "Your father's carelessness killed him," she whispers. "Just like your mother's carelessness, dying and leaving a burden behind." The words slice deeper than grief ever could. Lily doesn't cry. She can't. Something inside her goes still, as if the last piece of warmth has been buried alongside him. The shield is gone. The house will never be quiet again. And Lily stands there, alone, realizing that the only person who ever stood between her and cruelty has been lowered into the ground. 1 year later, the house feels heavier, as if grief has settled into the walls and learned how to breathe. Lily is 23 now, though the number means little. Her days blur together in a quiet, exhausting loop. Morning begins with scrubbing floors that never seem clean enough. Afternoons with folding laundry that isn't hers. Evenings with cooking meals she is rarely invited to sit and eat. Her hands move constantly, mechanically, while Chloe lounges on the couch, phone glowing in her face, laughter spilling out at messages from people who never bother to ask Lily's name. "Lily," Margaret's voice cuts through the room like a crack of a whip. "That glass has a streak on it." "Do it again." Lily nods without speaking. She has learned that silence costs less than words. She wipes the glass again while Chloe scrolls, legs crossed, eyes glued to her screen. "Honestly," Chloe mutters without looking up. She should be grateful we even let her stay. Grateful. The word echoes in Lily's mind as she moves from room to room, collecting dust like proof of her existence. Late one afternoon, while organizing papers Margaret demanded she sort, Lily notices an envelope tucked between old bills and expired warranties. Her name is written on it in her father's familiar handwriting. Her heart stutters. Slowly, carefully, she opens it. The words blur at first, then sharpen. A will. Her father's will. He had known. Somewhere deep inside, he had known this would happen. The house, the savings, everything he had worked himself into exhaustion to provide, legally belonged to Lily. Not forever, but long enough to protect her. Long enough, he hoped, for her to stand on her own. Margaret had power of attorney, yes, but only to manage the household. The inheritance was Lily's. It had always been Lily's. Her hands shake as she holds the papers. For the first time in a year, something like hope rises, tentative and fragile. She takes the documents to Margaret, her voice barely above a whisper. "There's something you should see." Margaret reads the will once, then again. Her face hardens, lips thinning, eyes burning with a fury that feels personal, betrayed. "This is a mistake," she snaps. "He wouldn't do this." "He did," Lily says quietly. "He wanted me protected." Margaret laughs, sharp and humorless. "Protected? From me?" She slams the papers onto the table. "You ungrateful girl. Do you have any idea how much I've done for you?" From that day on, the house becomes a cage. Margaret's anger seeps into every corner, every command sharper than the last. "You are under my roof," she reminds Lily daily, "eating my food, using my electricity, wearing clothes I allow." Lily swallows the truth every time. That the roof was paid for by her father. That the food came from money meant for her future. That even the air Margaret claims feels borrowed. Chloe watches it all with detached amusement, scrolling, laughing, untouched by consequence. At night, Lily lies awake, staring at the ceiling, the will hidden beneath her mattress like a secret heartbeat. Her father's voice echoes faintly in her memory, telling her to be strong, to be patient. She wonders if this is what protection was meant to look like. She wonders how long patience can last before it turns into something else entirely. The shelter smells of soup, clean linens, and quiet endurance. It is the only place where Lily breathes without feeling watched. The only place where her hands work without being ordered. Here, no one reminds her of debts or gratitude. No one counts her worth by how much she gives without complaint. Here, she is simply useful, simply human. She moves between tables with practiced gentleness, listening more than she speaks, offering warmth where words fail. Every face carries a story shaped by loss, and somehow that shared brokenness makes her feel less alone in the world. That afternoon, the doors open and a small group enters carrying donation boxes. At the front is a young man with calm eyes and an unassuming presence. Someone who doesn't command attention, yet naturally earns it. Distracted by instructions from behind him, the boxes in his arms shift and tumble to the floor. He exhales sharply and drops to his knees at the same moment Lily does, both reaching instinctively to help. Their hands brush briefly. He looks up, surprised, as if something warm and unfamiliar has interrupted his thoughts. "I'm sorry," he says, half embarrassed. Lily smiles softly. "It's all right. Things fall sometimes. What matters is picking them up." He chuckles quietly. That might be the simplest truth I've heard all week. As they stack the boxes together, he watches how gently she moves, how she never rushes. "You volunteer here often?" he asks. "Whenever I can," Lily replies. "This place reminds me that kindness still exists." He hesitates. "You say that like you've had reason to doubt it." She pauses, then answers carefully. "Some places make you forget who you are." He nods, understanding more than he explains. "I'm Alex," he says, offering his hand. "Lily," she replies. As he leaves later, he glances back once more, struck not by her story, which he does not know, but by her spirit, which speaks without words. A week later, just as the afternoon settles into its usual dull stillness, the low purr of an expensive engine rolls down the quiet street and stops directly in front of the house. Curtains shift across neighboring windows. The car gleams like liquid shadow beneath the sun, polished, deliberate, out of place against the aging fence and peeling paint. The driver's door opens with controlled precision, and Alexander steps out. He is dressed impeccably, not loudly, not extravagantly, but with the quiet confidence of someone who understands presence. His coat falls clean against his frame. His shoes reflect the light, and in his right hand, he carries a small velvet box, dark and understated, yet heavy with meaning. Inside rests an heirloom ring, not chosen for spectacle but for promise, a circle of gold that has witnessed generations of vows. He stands for a brief moment at the foot of the path, drawing in a steady breath, then walks forward with calm resolve and knocks firmly on the door. Margaret opens it with irritation already forming on her lips, but the expression dissolves the instant she sees him. Her posture straightens, her eyes sharpen. She scans him quickly, taking in the tailored coat, the watch at his wrist, the polished calm in his stance. Her tone shifts instantly, syrup sweet and welcoming. "Good afternoon," she says, leaning slightly against the frame as if the house itself belongs to her elegance. "How may I help you?" "My name is Alexander," he replies evenly. "I was hoping to speak with you." "Well, of course," she answers without hesitation, stepping aside. "Please come in." Her gaze flickers toward the hallway and she raises her voice. "Chloe, darling, come down this instant." Chloe appears moments later, curiosity bright in her expression as she notices the stranger. She smooths her hair quickly, slipping her phone into her pocket. Margaret gestures proudly. "My daughter," she announces, her hand hovering possessively near Chloe's shoulder. "She is quite accomplished." Alexander inclines his head politely, but there is no flicker of interest in his eyes. He remains composed, focused. "I appreciate the welcome," he begins, "but I believe there has been a misunderstanding." Margaret laughs lightly. "Oh, there's no misunderstanding, I assure you." "I am here," Alexander continues calmly, his voice steady and unmistakably clear, "to ask for the hand of Miss Lily." The words hang in the air like shattered glass. Margaret's smile freezes, then vanishes entirely. The warmth drains from her face, replaced by something rigid and cold. "Excuse me." "Lily," he repeats gently. "Your stepdaughter." For a second the silence is suffocating. Then her expression hardens into stone. "That servant girl," she spits, disbelief twisting into fury. "Over my dead body." Her voice rises sharply, echoing through the house. Chloe stares, stunned and offended, as if personally insulted. Alexander does not retreat from her anger. "Ma'am, I assure you my intentions are honorable. I care deeply for—" "Care?" Margaret interrupts, her composure fracturing. She strides to the corner, snatching up a broom as though it were a weapon forged for this exact moment. "You think I don't see what this is? You think you can waltz in here, dressed like that, and trick us?" "There is no trick," he replies, still measured. "I came to ask properly." "To steal," she shrieks, advancing toward him. "You're a con artist. A thief. You heard about the inheritance, didn't you? You think you can get your hands on my daughter's fortune?" Alexander's jaw tightens slightly. "Lily's fortune," he corrects quietly. The correction detonates what little restraint she has left. "Get out!" she screams, swinging the broom wildly as she drives him backward toward the door. "Get off my property and never come back. I won't let some smooth-talking stranger manipulate that girl to get what belongs to my family." He steps outside, the door nearly slamming against him as she follows onto the porch, still shouting accusations loud enough for the street to hear. "Fraud! Gold digger! You picked the wrong house." The broom sweeps through the air again, forcing him down the path. Alexander stops just beyond the gate, composed despite the spectacle, his eyes lifting briefly toward the windows as if searching for Lily. He says nothing more. He simply closes his coat, turns, and walks back to the waiting car, the velvet box still secure in his hand. Behind him, Margaret stands trembling with rage, convinced she has protected something that was never truly hers. Lily is in the backyard when the shouting begins, her hands buried in damp soil as she pulls stubborn weeds from the neglected flower beds. The air is cool, the earth grounding beneath her fingers, and for a moment she allows herself the small comfort of silence. Then the front door slams. A voice rises. Another follows. The sound carries through the house, sharp and frantic, and Lily straightens slowly, brushing dirt from her palms as she steps toward the side of the yard. She does not see the beginning. She does not see the polished car or the velvet box. She sees only the end. Margaret on the porch, face flushed with rage, broom raised like a weapon. A well-dressed figure retreating down the path. The gate rattling shut. The car door closing. The engine fading away. Confusion settles over her like a thin fog. She takes one hesitant step toward the house. The back door bursts open before she reaches it. Margaret stands there, breathing hard, eyes blazing with something more than anger. It is fear. It is accusation. It is wounded pride. "What did you do?" she demands, her voice low and dangerous. "I don't understand," Lily replies, her voice small but steady. "Don't lie to me." Margaret snaps, advancing toward her. "Did you send him a message? Did you sneak around behind my back?" "Send who?" Lily asks, genuinely bewildered. Margaret's laugh is bitter and sharp. "You think you can play innocent? A man like that doesn't just show up by accident. You think you can escape this house?" The words strike deeper than they should. Escape. Lily swallows. "I didn't ask anyone to come," she says softly. "I wouldn't know how." Margaret studies her face, searching for guilt, for deceit, for any sign of rebellion. She finds none, and somehow that unsettles her more. She turns abruptly, pacing across the yard as if the grass itself offends her. "Men don't come here for nothing," she mutters. "They don't knock on my door unless there's something to gain." Days pass, but something has shifted. Margaret watches Lily differently now, not with simple disdain, but with suspicion that curdles into something darker. She notices things she once ignored. The gardener's son lingering a little too long by the fence, asking casually, "Is Lily around?" The mailman handing over a letter and glancing toward the window. She's still volunteering at the shelter. The neighbor mentioning in passing how polite Lily is. How kind. Each question lands like a stone dropped into still water. Margaret begins to count. Every inquiry. Every glance. Every small acknowledgement. None are ever for Chloe. No one asks about Chloe's studies, Chloe's hobbies, Chloe's beauty. Chloe, who sits inside scrolling endlessly, unaware that the silence around her has become louder than praise. At dinner one evening, Margaret's fork scrapes harshly against her plate. "It's strange," she says coolly, eyes fixed on Lily. "How people seem so interested in you." Lily lowers her gaze. "I don't ask them to be." "Of course you don't," Margaret replies, the words dripping with sarcasm. "You just stand there, pretending to be humble." Chloe looks up briefly. "Why does anyone care about her?" she mutters, returning to her phone. Margaret's jaw tightens. She has no answer. That is what burns the most. There is nothing remarkable about Lily's clothes, nothing flashy about her presence, and yet attention drifts toward her like light bending toward warmth. Margaret rises abruptly from the table. "I won't have it," she declares, her voice trembling with restrained fury. "I won't have you turning this house into some stage." "I'm not trying to," Lily whispers. "Trying." Margaret leans closer, her eyes dark and unsteady. "You don't need to try. That's what infuriates me." From that day forward, every knock on the door feels like a threat. Every envelope addressed to Lily feels like betrayal. Margaret's disdain deepens into something venomous, something personal. It is no longer about chores or obedience. It is about being overshadowed in her own home by the very girl she reduced to nothing. And though Lily continues her quiet routines, unaware of the storm forming, Margaret's jealousy coils tighter each day, waiting for the moment it can strike. February 14th arrives without ceremony, cold and grey, the kind of day that feels heavier simply because it is meant to be filled with joy. Inside the house, Chloe's sobs echo from the living room, sharp and wounded, breaking the quiet again and again. She sits on the sofa, knees drawn to her chest, phone discarded beside her, as if it has personally betrayed her. Everyone has someone, she cries, her voice thick with humiliation. Everyone except me. Margaret hovers close, stroking her hair with exaggerated tenderness, her own expression tight with frustration masked as concern. It's nothing, sweetheart, she murmurs. They don't deserve you. Love is overrated anyway. Lily stands near the doorway, invisible as she has learned to be, her hands folded neatly in front of her, absorbing the sound of Chloe's grief without reacting. She understands loneliness in a way Chloe never will, that she says nothing. Then, the soft scrape of the mail slot interrupts the room. An envelope slides across the floor, plain and unassuming. Lily bends instinctively to pick it up, her name written neatly on the front. Her heart stirs, cautious, uncertain. She opens it slowly. Inside is a simple card. No glitter, no extravagance, just honest handwriting. Thinking of the girl with the kind heart. Don't give up. Signed. Her breath catches. The room seems to still, as if even time is listening. She does not smile. She does not cry. She simply holds the card, feeling something unfamiliar bloom quietly in her chest. Margaret's eyes snap toward her. What is that? Just a card, Lily answers softly. Margaret snatches it from her hand and reads. Her face changes instantly, fury overtaking restraint. While my daughter weeps, you receive love letters, she screams, her voice rising. In my house? Chloe looks up, stunned, confusion turning into rage. Margaret clutches the card as if it has personally insulted her. How dare you? She hisses, pointing at Lily. How dare you stand there, receiving affection while my child is humiliated? Lily opens her mouth, then closes it. There is nothing she can say that will not be twisted. Margaret's chest heaves as jealousy finally spills over. The card trembles in her hand, a small, harmless thing that has somehow become the final offense. And in that moment, something breaks inside Margaret that will never be repaired. Margaret does not pause to think. Rage carries her down the hallway like a violent tide. Her footsteps sharp, uneven, driven by something far deeper than anger. She storms into her bedroom and slams the door so hard, the walls seem to shudder. Drawers are yanked open. Papers are ripped free. A small metal box is dragged from beneath the bed, its lock scratched and worn from years of secrecy. Lily stands frozen in the doorway, heart pounding, watching as Margaret gathers the documents with trembling hands, her breath ragged, her eyes wild. You think you're clever, Margaret snarls, turning suddenly. You think a little piece of paper makes you special. She grabs Lily by the arm, her grip iron tight, nails biting into skin. Come, you want freedom? I'll show you freedom. Lily stumbles as she's dragged through the house, past rooms she has cleaned 1,000 times, past walls that have never protected her. The back door flies open. Cold air rushes in. The incinerator stands at the edge of the yard, dark and waiting, its metal mouth already warm from earlier use. Margaret shoves it open and holds up the papers like a verdict. You want love? You want freedom? She screams, her voice cracking as flames roar to life. There goes your money. She flings the inheritance documents into the fire. The paper curls instantly, blackening, dissolving, years of protection turning to ash in seconds. Lily cries out, a sound torn from her chest, but Margaret does not look at her. She whirls around and snatches Lily's backpack, dumping its contents onto the ground. Clothes spill out. A notebook, a pen. Then her fingers close around the high school certificate and identification. Margaret holds them up, laughing now. A sharp, broken sound. "There goes your future," she says, her eyes burning. "No certificate, no job, no life." She throws them into the flames without hesitation. The fire consumes them greedily. Lily drops to her knees, shaking. "Please," she whispers. "Please don't." Margaret steps back as if the word itself offends her. "Get up." She grabs Lily again, dragging her through the house, out the front door, onto the cold pavement. Bags are hurled after her. Clothes scatter across the ground. Margaret shoves her hard once, twice, until Lily stumbles and falls. The gate slams shut behind her with a final, echoing clang. Margaret locks it, her hand steady now, her face set. "Happy Valentine's Day," she says coldly. "Now go find your love on the streets." The door closes. The house falls silent. Lily remains on the ground, surrounded by fragments of the life she no longer has, the ashes of her past still burning behind locked gates. Lily sits on the cold pavement long after the door has slammed shut, long after the echo of the lock has faded into the night. The air bites at her skin. Rain falls lightly, not enough to drench her instantly, just enough to soak through slowly, deliberately, as if even the sky has chosen patience in its cruelty. Her fingers tremble as she gathers her clothes from the wet ground, shoving them back into a ripped bag that no longer closes properly. Fabric sticks to the concrete. The thin plastic tears further with every desperate attempt to force it whole. She presses the sides together as if pressure alone can repair what has already split. Her breath comes in uneven bursts. She is not crying loudly. She is breaking quietly. Her shoulders shake. Her throat burns. She feels stripped of everything that once tied her to a future. No papers, no home, no protection. Just the sound of rain, and the distant hum of a world that continues without her. She whispers to herself without realizing it. It's just a night. Just survive the night. But the words feel hollow. Survival suddenly feels larger than she is. The streetlight flickers above her, casting long shadows that make her look smaller than she already feels. She pulls her knees closer to her chest, trying to make herself compact, invisible, unnoticeable. The cold seeps into her bones. The gate behind her remains still, silent, unmoved by her existence. For the first time in her life, there is no house to return to. No door she can knock on. No voice that might soften. She feels utterly broken, not dramatically, not loudly, but in the quiet, irreversible way glass shatters and cannot remember its original shape. Then the darkness shifts. A low, powerful engine hums at the edge of the street. Light floods the pavement suddenly, warm and blinding, washing over her like an unexpected sunrise. She squints, raising a trembling hand to shield her eyes. High-beam headlights from a luxury SUV cut through the rain, illuminating every scattered piece of clothing, every tear on her face, every trembling breath she tries to steady. The vehicle slows, stops. The engine idles for one suspended second before shutting off completely. The driver's door opens. Alexander steps out. He is not rushing. He is not confused. But he is not prepared for this either. In his hands, wrapped carefully against the rain, is something absurdly beautiful for a night so cruel. A massive money bouquet, hundreds of crisp bills folded into delicate shapes, crafted into flowers with patient artistry, arranged in perfect symmetry. It is extravagant, yes, but not arrogant. It was meant to make her laugh, to surprise her, to give her a foundation. Now it feels almost fragile in his hands. He takes one step forward and sees her fully. The torn bag, the soaked clothes, the bruised silence in her posture, the rain clinging to her hair, the way she tries to hide her face even now. His expression changes in real time. The softness that brought him here drains away first. Then confusion flickers. Then understanding. Then something colder settles behind his eyes. Protective. Controlled. Furious in a way that does not shout but calculates. He walks toward her slowly, not wanting to frighten her further. She looks up, a disbelief spreading across her face as recognition dawns. For a moment neither speaks. The bouquet hangs uselessly at his side. The rain falls between them. He kneels without hesitation, ignoring the puddles soaking into the fabric of his expensive suit, ignoring the cold water spreading across his knees. He sets the bouquet down carefully beside her scattered belongings, as if placing something sacred on ruined ground. His voice, when he finally speaks, is not loud. It is steady, low, filled with something that feels almost like pain. "Lily," he whispers. The city moves quietly around them as Alexander drives. Rain streaking across the windshield like the night itself is trying to wash something away. Lily sits in the passenger seat, wrapped in silence, her damp clothes clinging uncomfortably to her skin. Her hands folded tightly in her lap as if holding herself together requires constant effort. She doesn't ask where they are going. She doesn't ask why he came. She simply breathes, shallow and careful, afraid that if she exhales too deeply, everything she's holding back will spill out at once. Alexander says nothing either. He keeps both hands steady on the wheel, his jaw set, his attention split between the road and the fragile presence beside him. The city lights blur past, and for the first time that night, Lily is not exposed. She is enclosed, shielded. The elevator ride is quiet, smooth, ascending higher and higher until the city noise fades into something distant and unimportant. When the doors open, warmth greets her instantly. Not just heat but comfort. The penthouse is spacious without feeling empty, immaculate without feeling cold. Soft lighting glows from recessed lamps. Clean lines, neutral colors. Everything intentional. Everything calm. Lily steps inside hesitantly, her shoes leaving faint marks on the polished floor. She freezes, instinctively apologetic. "I'm sorry," she murmurs. "I'm making a mess." Alexander closes the door behind them and gently shakes his head. "You're not," he says quietly. "You're safe." The word lands differently than anything else he's said. Safe. Her shoulders loosen just a fraction. He gestures toward the sofa. "Sit, please." She does, perching on the edge like she might be asked to leave at any moment. He disappears briefly into another room and returns with a thick towel, placing it over her shoulders with careful hands. She flinches at first, then relaxes as the warmth settles in. "I'm calling my assistant," he says, already pulling out his phone. "Clothes, shoes, anything you'll need tonight. Tomorrow too." "You don't have to," Lily whispers, panic threading through her voice. "I can manage. I know you can," he replies, meeting her eyes. "But tonight, you don't have to." He ends the call and moves to the kitchen, his movements unhurried, grounding. She watches as he fills a mug, heats milk, stirs cocoa, adds just a little sugar. When he hands it to her, their fingers brush again, and she nearly drops it from surprise. "Careful," he says softly. She takes a tentative sip. The warmth spreads through her chest, slow and real, thawing something frozen deep inside. Tears well up before she can stop them. "I'm sorry," she says again, voice cracking. "Don't apologize," Alexander replies, sitting across from her, his posture open, attentive. "Just tell me what you want to tell me. Or don't. Either is okay." The words pour out in fragments. Not a neat story. Just moments. Doors closing. Papers burning, a gate locking. Years of being told she was nothing. He doesn't interrupt. He doesn't question. He doesn't defend anyone. He listens, fully, his expression steady, his silence supportive rather than empty. When she finally runs out of words, exhausted, he stands and retrieves the money bouquet, setting it gently on the table between them. "I was going to ask you to be my Valentine properly," he says, his voice quieter now. "Something simple, something joyful." He pauses, then continues with certainty. "Now, let this be the first brick in your new foundation." She stares at the bouquet, overwhelmed by its beauty, by what it represents. "I don't know how to accept this," she admits. "You don't have to know yet," he replies. "Just know that you're not alone anymore." She holds the mug closer, the warmth steady in her hands, the room silent except for the soft hum of the city far below. For the first time in years, Lily does not feel like she needs to disappear. The change does not happen all at once. It arrives quietly, deliberately, the way healing often does, without ceremony, but with persistence. Alexander never announces what he is doing. He simply starts making calls. Discreet ones, professional ones. Lily overhears fragments while sitting at the kitchen counter of his penthouse, hands wrapped around a mug, listening to him speak in a calm, controlled voice that carries weight without ever sounding cruel. Names are mentioned, departments, registrars, legal verification. When he ends the call, she looks at him with uncertainty, afraid to hope. "I don't want to be a problem," she says softly. Alexander meets her gaze without hesitation. "You're not a problem," he replies. "You're a person who had things taken from her. I'm helping you get them back." A week later, a thick envelope arrives. Lily's hands shake as she opens it. Inside is a certified duplicate of her high school certificate, embossed, official, undeniable. Proof that she existed. Proof that her future was not erased by fire. She presses the paper to her chest and cries, quietly this time. Not from despair, but from relief. So deep it feels like grief leaving her body. "I thought it was gone forever," she whispers. Alexander watches her with something like reverence. "Nothing that's yours is gone," he says. "It was just delayed." He does not hand her a job. He never even offers. Instead, one evening, he slides a simple folder across the table. "There's an interview," he says casually. "A publishing house. Prestigious. Competitive. I told them nothing about you except that you deserve to be seen." Lily blinks. "You didn't tell them? About us?" "No," he answers. "You'll walk in as yourself." She does. Alone. Nervous. Prepared. She speaks about books the way some people speak about faith. About how stories saved her when nothing else could. About language as survival. About empathy as power. When she leaves the building, she doesn't know if she's gotten the job, but she knows she was honest. 3 days later, the call comes. She is hired. Not as charity, not as pity, as talent. Life begins to assemble itself in small victories. A montage of moments that would have once felt impossible. Lily standing in a boutique, choosing her own work clothes, fingers brushing fabrics she never imagined she could wear. Smiling at her reflection, not with disbelief, but with pride. Lily in her small but cozy apartment, sunlight spilling through the window as she makes coffee for herself, humming softly. The space modest yet entirely hers. Alexander helped with the deposit. She insisted on paying rent. Independence matters now. At work, she thrives. Colleagues seek her opinion. Editors trust her instincts. Her name becomes associated with reliability, insight, grace under pressure. She no longer lowers her eyes when spoken to. She no longer apologizes for existing. In the evenings, she laughs with Alexander, real laughter, unguarded and warm. Dinner conversations stretch into shared silences that feel safe. Walks in the park become confessions and dreams. A boat ride ends with her head on his shoulder, watching the water ripple like a promise. She is no longer the girl who flinched at raised voices. She is no longer the servant waiting for permission. She is confident, independent, beautiful in a way that comes from being whole. And as she moves through this new life, Lily understands something vital. She did not escape her past because someone saved her. She escaped because someone believed she was worth rebuilding. A few months later, on an afternoon softened by quiet sunlight, Alexander brings Lily back to the shelter. There is no announcement, no dramatic lead-in. Just a familiar building, the muted sounds of kindness at work, the same worn floors that once carried her when she felt most invisible and most human at the same time. Lily pauses at the entrance, emotion tightening her chest. "Why here?" she asks gently, already sensing the weight of the moment. Alexander smiles, not answering yet, and takes her hand. His grip is steady, warm, grounding. "Walk with me," he says. They move through the shelter slowly, past volunteers and donated boxes, past small moments of hope that look ordinary, unless you know what desperation feels like. Lily's steps slow as recognition sets in. He leads her to the quiet corner, the exact place where they once knelt on the floor, gathering fallen boxes, speaking softly about kindness and loss like two strangers unknowingly touching the same wound. "This is where you looked at me like I mattered," Alexander says, voice low. "Not because of what I had, not because of who I was, just because I was human." Lily swallows hard. "You mattered before I knew your name," she replies. He turns to face her fully now. The shelter noise fades into a distant hum. Alexander takes a breath, deeper than usual, as if anchoring himself. Then slowly, deliberately, he gets down on one knee. Lily's hands fly to her mouth, disbelief and joy crashing together so fast she almost can't breathe. Tears blur her vision as he looks up at her, eyes clear, certain, unafraid. "The first time I asked for you," he says quietly, "I was sent away." His voice does not carry bitterness, only memory. "The second time I found you, you were in ashes, broken, hurting, still trying to apologize for surviving." His hand trembles slightly as he steadies himself. "Now, I see you as a rose, not because you bloomed without pain, but because you did it anyway." He pauses, letting the words settle, letting her feel them. "I don't want to ask for you anymore, Lily. I don't want permission from the world. I don't want to rescue you, or save you, or stand over you. I want to walk beside you. I want to build mornings with you, and weather storms with you, and grow old knowing I chose you every single day." He opens the ring box, the light catching the stone like a promise. "I want to spend my life with you. Will you marry me?" Lily is crying openly now, joy spilling over in quiet sobs she doesn't try to stop. She kneels too, meeting him at eye level, forehead touching his. "I spent so long believing I was something people endured," she whispers. "And then you looked at me like I was something worth choosing." She laughs through tears, shaking her head in disbelief. "Yes," she says, voice breaking but certain. "Yes, I will." Alexander exhales, a sound halfway between laughter and relief, and slips the ring onto her finger with reverent care. Applause breaks out softly around them, but Lily barely hears it. All she feels is warmth, certainty, and the profound peace of knowing that love did not save her life. It met her in it, and chose to stay. Lily is happy in a way that still surprises her. The kind of happiness that settles instead of shouting. Mornings feel lighter. Evenings feel earned. She moves through her days with a quiet confidence, her engagement ring catching the light when she turns the page of a book or lifts her coffee cup. A small reminder that she is chosen, that she is loved without conditions. Alexander watches her with a tenderness that never fades. as if he is constantly aware of how close he came to losing her to a night of rain and silence. And yet, beneath Lily's laughter, beneath the warmth, there is a shadow she cannot quite outrun. It comes to the surface one evening when the city outside their window is calm and distant. Lily is curled beside Alexander on the sofa, her head resting against his shoulder. She traces idle circles on his hand, hesitating, choosing her words carefully. "There's something I need to tell you," she says softly. He feels the change immediately, the way her body tightens just slightly. "What is it?" he asks, already alert. She takes a breath. "I've been thinking about after the wedding." The words feel heavier than they should. "There's a tradition I grew up hearing about, that you shouldn't step into a new life without trying to make peace with the old one." She pauses, then continues, quieter. "I would feel incomplete if I didn't try." Alexander stiffens. His jaw tightens, his hand stilling under hers. "Try with who?" he asks, though he already knows the answer. "With Margaret," Lily says, not looking at him now. "With Chloe. They're the only family I have left." The fury is immediate, sharp, protective. He sits up, turning to face her fully, disbelief flashing across his face. "Family?" His voice is controlled but edged with anger. "She left you to die, Lily, in the cold, in the rain. She burned your future and threw you out like garbage." He gestures helplessly, the memory still raw. "That's not family. That's cruelty." "I know," Lily replies softly. Her voice doesn't shake. That's what unsettles him most. "I know exactly what she did." She finally meets his eyes, and there is no illusion there. No forgiveness yet. Only clarity. "But if I marry you with hatred in my heart, she wins." Alexander exhales sharply, running a hand through his hair. "She doesn't deserve even a second of your life," he says. "You owe her nothing." "I don't want to do this for her," Lily answers. "I want to do it for me." Her fingers curl around his, grounding herself. "I spent years surviving her anger. I don't want to carry it into my marriage. I need to know I tried. That I stood in front of her as the woman I became, not the girl she broke." Silence stretches between them. Alexander looks at Lily, really looks at her, and understands that this is not weakness speaking. It is strength. Painful, deliberate strength. "And if she hurts you again?" he asks quietly. "Then I'll walk away," Lily says without hesitation. Not as a victim, as someone who chose peace and was denied it. His anger softens into something heavier, something protective but resigned. He cups her face gently. "I won't let her touch you," he says. "Not emotionally. Not ever again." Lily leans into his hand, eyes closing for a moment. "I know," she whispers. "That's why I can face her now." Outside, the city continues to glow, unaware of the quiet battle being resolved inside that room. Lily is still blissfully happy, but now, she knows what the shadow is, and she is choosing to step toward it, not because she is obligated, but because she refuses to let it follow her into the life she fought to build. The drive back feels heavier than Lily expected. The road is familiar in a way that tightens her chest, every turn pulling memories out of places she thought she had sealed shut. Alexander keeps one hand on the wheel, the other resting close enough to hers, that she can feel the warmth without being touched. Neither of them speaks much. Words feel intrusive here. When the house finally comes into view, Lily's breath catches despite herself. The garden is wild now, no longer controlled by Margaret's sharp commands. Weeds choke the flower beds. Vines crawl greedily up the porch railing. The paint on the house peels in long, tired strips, exposing grey wood beneath, like something shedding skin after giving up. The place looks smaller than Lily remembers, shrunken by neglect and time. It looks Abandoned, Alexander murmurs. Lily nods slowly. It feels that way too. He parks and steps out first, instinctively positioning himself slightly in front of her as they approach the door. Alexander knocks once. Firm, polite. The sound echoes hollowly. No answer. He knocks again, louder this time. Still nothing. Lily notices the door isn't fully closed. It sits slightly ajar, swaying faintly as a breeze moves through it. Then the smell hits them. Stale, sour, unmistakably wrong. Lily's hand flies to her mouth. Oh no, she whispers. They enter cautiously. Each step inside feels like crossing into something suspended between life and decay. The living room is chaos. Empty bottles. Dirty dishes stacked carelessly. Curtains half torn from their rods. Dust thick enough to dull the light coming through the windows. Lily's heart pounds as her eyes scan the room, searching for movement. Then she sees her. Margaret lies slumped on the sofa, her body swollen, her skin dull and stretched tight, her hair matted and unwashed. She looks nothing like the woman who once ruled this house with iron certainty. Her breathing is shallow, uneven. Her eyes flutter weakly, barely opening. When she tries to speak, only broken sounds come out. A mumble, a sob, a low, pitiful cry that barely registers as human. Lily freezes. Her knees nearly buckle. This is not the confrontation she imagined. There is no rage waiting, no venom, just ruin. Alexander stands still beside her, shock overtaking the fury he carried for so long. After everything, he says quietly, disbelief heavy in his voice. She is. Alone? Margaret's eyes roll weakly toward the sound. Her lips tremble. A tear slips down her temple, disappearing into the stained fabric of the sofa. She tries to lift a hand, but it falls limply back against her side. Lily takes a hesitant step forward, every instinct screaming at her to run, yet her feet keep moving. She kneels beside the sofa, heart aching in a way she did not expect. Margaret, she says softly. There is no accusation in her voice, just recognition. Margaret whimpers, a sound filled with fear rather than anger. She tries to form Lily's name but cannot. Her chest heaves. Lily swallows hard, tears filling her eyes. You're sick, Lily whispers, stating the obvious because she doesn't know what else to say. Alexander watches, torn between rage and sorrow. He had imagined this woman as a monster, and she was. But now she is also small, frail, forgotten. Where is Chloe? He asks quietly. Lily shakes her head, not knowing, not wanting to guess. The silence answers for them. Margaret cries weakly, the sound cracking something open in Lily's chest. This is not forgiveness. This is not absolution. It is understanding. The house, once filled with cruelty, now holds nothing but the echo of it. Lily looks back at Alexander, eyes shining with pain and resolve. She finally understands the cost of hatred when it consumes everything, including the one who feeds it. And standing there, amid decay and silence, Lily realizes she did not come here to be validated. She came here to witness the end of something she survived. Lily does not hesitate. The moment Margaret's weak cry fades into the stale air, Lily is already moving, already kneeling closer, already making a decision that feels older than thought. Her voice cuts through the room, firm, urgent, alive. Alex, we have to help her. Call an ambulance. Now. There is no tremor in her command, no uncertainty, only the clarity of someone who knows exactly who she is in this moment. Alexander turns toward her sharply, disbelief flashing across his face. Lily, he says, his voice low but charged. This woman burned your future. She destroyed your papers. She shoved you into the street like you were nothing. His jaw tightens as he gestures helplessly toward the couch. She left you to freeze, to disappear. You don't owe her anything. Lily looks at him, really looks at him, and her eyes fill with tears that refuse to fall. I know, she says softly. Her voice does not rise to meet his anger. It sinks beneath it, steady and aching. I know everything she did. I remember the fire. I remember the gate closing. I remember thinking I wasn't going to survive that night. She glances back at Margaret, whose breathing rattles like something breaking apart. But look at her, Alex. Just look. Alexander follows her gaze again. The fury drains from his face, replaced by something heavier. Margaret's chest rises and falls unevenly. Her lips quiver as another weak sound escapes her. Lily reaches out, not touching her, just close enough to feel the fragile warmth of a life barely holding on. She's already in hell, Lily whispers, her voice breaking now. She's been abandoned by everyone she chose over kindness. I don't need to punish her. I don't need revenge. She turns back to Alexander, tears finally spilling over. If I walk away now, I become what she tried to make me. I can't live with that. Alexander exhales sharply, running a hand through his hair. Lily, saving her doesn't erase what she did, he says, quieter now. It doesn't fix the past. Lily nods. I know. This isn't about fixing her. It's about saving myself. She swallows hard. If I let her die here because of what she did to me, then she still controls the ending of my story. I won't give her that power. Silence stretches between them, thick and heavy. Alexander looks at Lily, as if seeing her anew, as if this compassion is more terrifying and beautiful than anything he imagined. He nods once, slowly. Without another word, he pulls out his phone. His voice is calm when he speaks, precise, efficient. He calls his private doctor, gives the address, demands immediate transport, the best care, no delays. Lily watches him, relief and grief tangling together in her chest. As he ends the call, Alexander kneels beside Lily, lowering himself to her level. An ambulance is on the way, he says quietly. She be taken to the best hospital. He pauses, searching Lily's face. You're extraordinary, he adds, not as praise, but as truth. Lily shakes her head faintly. I'm just tired of hate, she whispers. She looks once more at Margaret, who lies crying weakly on the couch, and Lily feels something loosen inside her. Something that has been clenched for years. Not forgiveness. Not yet. But mercy. And for the first time, the house feels smaller, less powerful, as if it no longer owns her past or her heart. Weeks later, the hospital room smells faintly of antiseptic and fresh linens. The hum of machines a quiet background to the fragile rhythm of life. Margaret lies in a narrow bed, pale and weakened, her hair still disheveled, her hands trembling against the covers. The room is private, the kind of space where no one can judge or intrude, where the past and the present meet in the stark stillness. Lily steps inside alone, the soft click of the door closing behind her echoing like a distant heartbeat. She pauses, letting her eyes adjust to the pale light, letting the quiet soak in before she moves closer. Margaret stirs at her presence, eyes fluttering open. Recognition comes slowly, clouded by weakness, by guilt, by fear. Her lips part, no sound yet, just the effort of trying. Lily sits at the edge of the bed, careful to leave space, careful to let the woman in front of her be seen without judgment. She does not speak at first. There is no need. Silence itself is heavy with history. Finally, Margaret's voice breaks through, hoarse, shaking, almost a whisper. Lily! She swallows, a dry, rattling sound. I need to say something. Lily nods, hands folded in her lap. I'm listening. The words come slowly, broken, jagged by regret. After you left, everything fell apart. Chloe, she couldn't live with me anymore. She was tired of my bitterness, my anger. She took everything. Every last account. Every valuable thing in the house. She ran away with someone dangerous. She didn't care about me. She left me alone. Margaret's lips tremble, tears slipping down her pale cheeks. And I was too weak. I let it happen. I let you suffer. Lily stays still, listening, her own heart tightening. She does not interrupt. She does not ask for excuses. She lets Margaret unravel her truth, letting the weight of years fall into the quiet between them. Margaret's voice rises slightly, desperation overtaking weakness. I wished you dead, she confesses, each word a knife sharpened on guilt. I threw you away. I wanted to erase you. I hated you. And yet, her voice falters, breaking into sobs. She reaches out a shaky, trembling hand toward Lily, as if seeking connection, as if seeking absolution from the one she hurt most. And you saved me. Lily's eyes fill, not with anger, but with something harder, more enduring. Pain and peace, interwoven so tightly it takes her breath. She meets Margaret's gaze, sees the raw vulnerability there, and lets herself feel the weight of it without collapsing under it. Margaret continues, voice shaking, the words spilling like confession and revelation fused. You are not made of the hate I gave you, she says, tears slipping faster, wetting the bed linens. You are made of something I could never understand. Love. For a long moment, Lily does not speak. She simply listens, absorbing every word, every crack in Margaret's voice, every tremor of truth. She feels the sting of what was lost, the years of cruelty, the nights of fear, the bitter memories of fire and locked gates. And yet, beneath it all, she feels the quiet bloom of something else, a recognition that love, even in its smallest, most deliberate form, can exist where hate once ruled. Finally, Lily whispers, voice steady, even as her throat tightens. I hear you, Margaret. I see you. And I forgive you. Not for you, but for me. Because I will not carry hate any longer. I will not let it follow me into the life I have built. Margaret closes her eyes briefly, trembling, as if letting go of a weight she did not know she carried. The room is silent again. But this silence is different. Not filled with fear or resentment, but with understanding, with the fragile beginnings of reconciliation. Lily sits there, her face a mixture of pain, of sorrow, of peace, of the steady strength of someone who has survived and chosen mercy, standing witness to the final unraveling of a past that once threatened to consume her entirely. Lily sits at the edge of the bed for a long moment, her hand resting lightly on the sheets, feeling the fragile warmth of the woman who caused her so much pain, yet lies now broken and vulnerable before her. The hospital room is quiet except for the steady hum of the machines, and the faint beeping of monitors marking a life tenuous but present. She reaches into her bag, pulling out a thick envelope, weighty with intention. Her fingers linger over it, as if holding it gives her a chance to gather the right words, to frame the moment with care instead of anger. She places it gently on the bedside table, sliding it closer to Margaret without touching her. This, Lily begins softly, her voice steady yet tender. This is enough money to start over somewhere else. Sell the house. Get help. Use it to heal, because healing is the only thing that matters now. Not what you took, not what was lost, but what comes next. Make something of your life while you still can. Margaret tries to speak but chokes on a sob, her thin body trembling with guilt and regret. Lily, I I don't deserve this. I don't deserve anything from you. How can you still? Her words break into a quiver. You deserve it because I choose to let you have it. Lily interrupts gently, her eyes softening, the depth of her compassion palpable. I am not doing this for you. I am doing this for me. I refuse to carry hate any longer. I refuse to let the past dictate the rest of my life. This is the boundary I need, the closure I need. But I also need to act with my heart, even if my heart is tired of your betrayal. Tears stream down Margaret's cheeks, hot and sudden, mingling with the pale hospital linens. Please, Lily, forgive me. I know I can never undo what I've done. I know I hurt you. I wish I could take it all back. Will you ever visit me? Will you be at your wedding? Her voice trembles, fragile. Lily takes a slow breath, letting the weight of the moment sink in. Her lips curve into a small, serene smile, warm yet resolute. She shakes her head gently, letting her hair fall softly around her face. I forgive you, Margaret, she says, her voice calm and deliberate, carrying the authority of someone who has rebuilt themselves from ashes. For me, not for you. That door is closed. I cannot live with the past hanging over my future. I cannot walk backward anymore. She rises from the bed, her movements deliberate and unhurried, each step carrying her away from the years of fear, anger, and helplessness that once bound her. Margaret reaches out weakly, hand trembling, voice breaking into desperate sobs. Lily, wait, please. But Lily does not turn. She does not look back. She keeps walking, the soft swish of her clothes and the quiet tap of her shoes against the floor, marking the path of a life finally chosen, finally hers. As the door clicks closed behind her, the envelope still rests on the bedside table, a tangible offering of mercy and closure, and Margaret is left to her tears, to the realization that life continues without her control, without her rage, and that the girl she tried to break has become the woman who cannot be broken. Outside the door, the world continues to hum. But inside the room, a quiet shift has occurred, as if the air itself acknowledges that the past is behind them, that what comes next is no longer dictated by old cruelty, but by choice, by courage, by the extraordinary grace of a heart willing to forgive without surrendering its strength. The morning is soft and golden, the kind of light that slips between leaves and dances across petals, catching on dew and illuminating the delicate architecture of a garden restored with care, love, and memory. It is the same garden from Lily's earliest memories, the one where her mother held her as a baby, where sunlight once promised safety and warmth she would later believe lost forever. But now, it is alive again, vibrant, blooming, a testament not to what was stolen, but to what was reclaimed. Every flower, every carefully tended path, every sun-dappled stone speaks of patience, of restoration, of triumph over years of neglect and pain. The scent of roses mingles with freshly cut grass, and the air carries the soft hum of anticipation, a gentle whisper of hope that seems to acknowledge the journey it has witnessed. Lily stands at the edge of the aisle, taking a moment to breathe it in, to let the weight of the past and the promise of the future meet in this singular moment. She is no longer the girl who flinched at raised voices, no longer the young woman who feared the shadow of cruelty that once dominated her life. She is strong, independent, and utterly present, every step of her journey etched into her posture, into the steady calm that radiates from her. The locket from her father hangs around her neck, a small, steady heartbeat against her chest, the symbol of a love that never abandoned her entirely, a tether to the strength and compassion that brought her here.